Alright, let's continue. So far we have the base of the MVP pattern. The application still does not work since the repositories of the data access layer need to be implemented. You can add a new project for the data access layer, or just add a folder as a component for repositories like I will do now. So, we add a class for the base items of the repository objects. We convert to an abstract class so that it can only be used through inheritance. Here I will only define a protected field for the connection string. You can define more common fields and methods for repository objects. Okay, now we will add the pet repository concrete class. Then inherit the base repository class and reference the data and SQL client namespace.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats.
Then we implement the pet repository interface defined in the model.
Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips, bruised knees. I'm addicted to her, need her touching me. Cause she got a bad little waist, and we tearing down this place. Off the liquor that we chase.
Alright, now we'll implement the GetAll and GetByValue method for searches, but before that we'll define the constructor. The constructor will accept a parameter for the connection string, then we assign it to the connection string field of the base repository class. This is optional, you can initialize the connection string directly in the base class. However, to keep the code clean and testable, it is recommended to do it this way for reasons of dependency injection and unit testing. Okay, now we implement the GetAll method. First, we define a list of pet models to store the result and return the list, then we query the database. So using the using statement, we create the SQL connection instance from the connection string for communication with the database. In the same way, using another using statement, we create the SQL command to execute the operations on the database. We open the connection to SQL Server, and establish the connection to the command to execute the operations. We set the text command, in this case, we select everything from the pets table. Optionally, we sort on the ID column in descending order to show the last recorded data first. Then, using another using statement, we run the command reader. Note that the using statement causes objects to be disposed of correctly, so there is no need to close the connection or the reader. Now, while the reader is reading the rows, we create a pet model instance, then assign the cell's value to model properties, make sure to cast to the appropriate data type. And finally, we add the object to the list of pets. We do similarly in the GetByValue method. We modify the query to search for the pet by ID, or to search for the pet by name. In this case we will use the logical operator like, to search for the name by matches, that is, to find all the names of pets that start with the value search. Okay, now we declare the ID parameter and the name parameter. Since we only have one search value, we need to determine if the value is numeric or letters. Otherwise an error will be thrown. So here we will define a local field of type integer for the value of the ID parameter. We do similarly for the name parameter. Now, we define the local search fields. So we define a field of type integer for the pet ID, and we assign the value of the search parameter of the method, but as long as it is numeric. For this we try to convert the search value to an integer. If the value can be converted, we set the search value, otherwise, we set the value to 0. Finally and optionally we define the search field by name. Here it is not necessary to do any conversion. However, it would be better to define 2 text commands to speed up the query. Alright, now the form should be able to display the list of pets and do the searches, so let's run it. To do this we go to the program class. We add the references to all the components.
She could get you high, all the dopamine inside triggers fast once she's naked. Her body's a creation. They say the devil made her for his entertainment, but even he couldn't.
Well, so that the application works, we need to instantiate the presenter and inject the concrete class of the view and repository or model. We can do it directly on a single line as in this example, but I will define it in local fields, so that it looks a little organized. So we define and instantiate the view. Similarly for the repository. The repository requires us to inject the connection string, so we also define and initialize a field for it. We can set the connection string directly in this field, or we can do it in the app configuration file. Well, it is recommended to define any configuration in this file. It is standard practice to do so that you have all the configuration values in one place. If you have experience with the markup language, you can directly write the connection string here, otherwise you can do it from the project properties like I will now. We open the settings section. Well, we assign a name. We establish the type of configuration, in this case connection string. In scope we select application. Finally we establish the connection string value. We can write it or we can use the properties window. We put the name or IP of the server, in my case local. We choose the type of authentication, if it is with Windows or with username and password. Finally we select the database, in my case veterinary database. Optionally we test if the connection string works correctly. Well, for security we save the changes and return to the configuration file to verify that everything is correct. Okay, here's the connection string section, and also the connection string we created just now. You can edit the value from here, or replicate and edit it for other connection strings. Similarly, we can change the name of the connection string as it is very long. We copy the name and return to the program class. So, we set the connection string from the app configurations. This requires adding the reference to the configuration assembly. Well, we selected the connection strings from the configuration manager. We specify the name of the connection string we want to access and get the connection string. Alright, now we instantiate the presenter, and inject the view and repository objects into it. Finally we run the view. Well, the list of pets is displayed correctly, and the search by ID and name works correctly. We had said that dependency injection deals with how an object meets another dependent object through the interface. Well, that's what we did here. The presenter accepts as parameters the interfaces that implement the view and repository, and here the presenter instance is created and we are injecting it with the concrete class of the view and repository, in such a way that the presenter can operate and manipulate them through the interface without depending directly. The dependency inversion principle should not be confused with dependency injection. They are different things. One is a principle and the other is a pattern, although there is a relationship and they play an important role between the two. Well, going back to the concepts, the dependency injection allows you to better manage future code changes and application complexity, which helps make code reusable, maintainable and loosely coupled between classes. There are some frameworks that make it easier for us to do dependency injection, for example, Unity, Spring, Structure Map, and so forth. In this way it would be to do the dependency injection explicitly or manually, instead using a framework, for example a Unity, it would be this way. The type mapping in the container is registered so that it can create the correct object for the given type, that is set which class should be instantiated for that specified interface, and the resolve method takes care of creating the object, and automatically injects the dependencies. Also we would have the type assignment in a single container and place. This would save us a lot of time if we have tens or hundreds of classes and interfaces. Maybe I'll do a tutorial on this. Well, for the tutorial to be complete, we will add a main view and a main presenter to do the dependency injection of the other elements, since obviously the application will have other models and forms. For example, pet owner, medicines, food, branches and so forth, so it would not be fair to leave it that way. So we add the interface for the main view. Here we define all the events to open the child forms, for example, show the view of pet, owners, vets and so forth. Now we add a form for the concrete main view. We designed the main form as we like.
Such a tease, bitten lips, bruised knees. I'm addicted to her, need her touching me, cause she got a bad little waist. And we tearing down this place, off the liquor that we chase. Casamigos to the face, baby, I don't need no space. Coming closer for a taste, and I'll show you how I make everything just fade away. Cause she's like sex, drugs, cocaine, body so insane. Jealous of the clothing that she wears up on that tight.
Once the design is finished, we go to the code. We implement the interface for the main view. Okay, now in the same way that we did in the pets view, we associate and generate the events. Alright, finally we add the main presenter. We do the same thing we did in the pet presenter, add the references to the view, model and repository component. Then we define the following fields. A private field for the view using the main view interface. We will also define a read-only field for the connection string. We then generate the constructor with parameters for the view and the connection string. We subscribe the handler event methods to view events, in this case just the event of show the pet view. Finally we implement the show pet view method.
creation. They say the devil made her for his entertainment, but even he couldn't learn how to contain it. Her high heels make a damn good statement. There is no...
We would do the same with the other views in repositories or models. Alright, so we go back to the program class and modify it to run the main view and presenter.
She got a bad little waist, and we tearing down this place off the liquor that we chase. Got some egos to the face, baby, I don't need no space. Coming closer for a taste, and I'll show you how I make everything just fade away. Cause she's like sex, drugs, cocaine, body so insane. Jealous of the clothing that she wears up on a tight frame. All game, no shame, baby came here to play. I feel like an addict cause she's sex, drugs, cocaine.
Great, everything is fine. We always have a common inconvenience, that the same form can be opened as many times as we want, although sometimes this is required, but generally it is only necessary to open a single form. Well, we have ways to prevent this. The first is through a loop. We go through the list of all open forms and check if the form is open or not. If not, we create the instance, otherwise we just redisplay the form. Second is to use the Singleton pattern. This pattern restricts the instantiation of a class to a single instance, which will allow a single form to be opened, and since we're on the topic of patterns and best practices, we'll do it through the Singleton pattern. To do this, we go to the code of the pet view form. First, for the form instance, we define a static field of the same class type, in this case pet view. Now we create a static method to get the form instance. We define a condition. If the form instance is equal to null or is disposed, we create the form instance. Otherwise, if the form instance already exists, we simply bring the form to the front to display it. We define another condition to restore the form in case it is minimized. Finally, we return the form instance. And that's it. Now we go to the main presenter and modify the view creation. Here the getInstance method would be used to create the instance. Okay, the form is opened only once, and it is shown again in front in case it is left behind. Well, if we want, we can open the child form inside a panel or MDI container of the main form itself. This time I will do it in an MDI container. For this we set that the form is an MDI container. Now we will need to set the main view as the MDI parent of the pet view. There are many ways to do this too, but we can take advantage of the getInstance method of the child form. So this method will accept a parameter of type form as the parent container. Now, when the child form is instantiated, we set the parent container's parameter to the MDI parent property of the child form. Well, we go back to the main presenter, and when getting the instance of the pet view, we send the main view as the parent container. We convert the form type, or main view. In both cases it will work, since the main view inherits from form. Alright, let's test the app. Great, it works correctly. Optionally, we can also make the child form open to the entire container and without borders.
Coming closer for a taste, and I'll show you how I make everything.
We remove the border style, and set the dock property to fill.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats.
Great, but now it's missing a close button, so we added it.
Oh, baby's hella bad. After her, there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me. Turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease. Bitten lips, bruised knees. I'm addicted to her, need her touching me. Cause she got a bad little waist. And we tearing down this place. Off the liquor that we chase. Got some egos to the face. Baby, I don't need no space. Coming closer for a taste. And I'll show you how I make everything just fade away. Cause she's like sex, drugs, cocaine.
Alright, now we'll also make the form responsive by resizing the main form. To do this, we simply set the anchor or dock property properly as needed. Well, that's all for now. We already have the fully functional application. Now we just need to implement the add, edit and delete options. We will do that in the next and last video. Well, until next time.